Yeah, I would say, I mean, right now, I think one of the nice kind of things about where we are right now is that I think Solana has clearly emerged as one of the primary, it's certainly going to be a multi-chain world. Like, we're not making any sort of delusions of like, well, maybe some people believe that it'll be I think most people, consensus is there'll be a couple of chains and there'll be assets living across chains. And that's totally great. I think the great thing is that Solana is clearly one of those, chains that is sort of like, when if you're launching a product, particularly in financial services or payments or institutional finance, like Solana is one of the chains that is sort of people need to default to. So that's
Yeah, I
great.
agree.
Yeah.
When did that happen? Because I mean, it's like, yeah, you guys are, it just deserves to be said. Like, you're not going anywhere. You got to
Yeah.
integrate with it. When did that shift happen?
A good question. I mean, I think it was gradual and organic. I mean, I think if you wonder, if you think about why that is, like maybe if you take a step back, Solana has always been laser focused. If you talk to people at the protocol level, it is the North Star is, and now there's an acronym for it, IBRL, right? Increase bandwidth, reduce latency. It's always been about performance at the protocol level, making it faster, making it cheaper, making it more scalable. And I think because there has been a laser focus on that, it wasn't enough to be like, hey, we launched this blockchain and we've got people building on it, we're done. There is a constant desire to continue to improve and iterate, right? And so, Anatoly, the founder, will basically be like, our ceiling is the speed of light. That's sort of like the upper bound of like how fast this thing can be. So I think given the focus on this one North Star, it's manifested itself in the way the technology has worked. And I think more and more users, it started with people just doing simple stablecoin transfers and realizing like, oh, this is faster and cheaper. But as you kind of fast forward and use cases like meme coins and like the one canonical example of a stress test of the network was when the Trump meme coin launched, which, it's an asset that went from nothing to, I think it was maybe 80 billion in 48 or 72 hours, and the network held up. And so I think to answer your question, I don't know if there was a specific moment. I think over time, as more and more people were building and seeing that the network itself was hardened, beyond sort of some of the early days of scaling up, I think people realize, I think there's the performance. And I think the second is the economy, the L1 thesis, global state machine, kind of composability. The more people build on Solana and the more they see things are composable. So if you build a project that's got a loyalty token, that same token standard works in any DeFi protocol if you wanted to, kind of deploy it in DeFi. And again, so the idea of there being one sort of composable global state machine, because of that, we have a thriving economy of different apps and use cases. So I think there is some critical mass there. And I think there are some major enterprise announcements that probably helped solidify. So the PYUSD announcement, PayPal announcing their stablecoin on Solana, Visa had done this RFP and picked a blockchain they wanted to go deep with. That was, I think, a couple of years ago, and that's when they announced that they're expanding their Ethereum settlement pilot to Solana. More recently, companies like Fiserv and Stripe and Shift4 and others. Yeah, I think it's been a combination of things. I don't know if there was any one moment. If you talk to developers, they would say that it's just the scalability and the ability to build products with good UX. If you talk to enterprises, it's a little bit of like, well, that big company did it, so I can do it now too, and it just kind of feeds on itself. So yeah, I think it's been a nice gradual thing. It's probably the last 12 months has been a pretty significant uptick, just in terms of volume on the enterprise side of investment.